It was the kind of town where nothing weird ever happened, where doors were left unlocked and neighbors waved from porches. But then one summer evening, the quiet cracked. A young woman vanished. Days later, her body was found in a shallow grave on the edge of town. And though the dirt covered her, the secrets buried with her refused to stay hidden. Because somewhere in that town behind a friendly smile or a polite nod was a killer. And to this day, they are still free. Our story begins in Millwood, Ohio, a town of just under 6,000 people, a town built on routine. The diner's coffee always hot by 6 a.m., church bells ringing every Sunday at 9, and Friday night football games that pulled the whole community together. For outsiders, Millwood was ordinary. For those who lived there, it was home. And among them was Hannah Green. In their quiet home hung glowing photographs of Hannah laughing with friends, Hannah in a graduation gown, Hannah holding her niece. Hannah was 23 years old. She'd grown up in Millwood, gone to school there, and though she dreamed of one day moving to the city, she always said she'd never lose her small town heart. She was known for her smile, broad, easy, disarming. Her friends remembered her as the kind of person who never left you out. If someone sat alone in the cafeteria, Hannah sat with them. If someone needed a ride, she was there. She loved hiking the trails just outside town. She loved sketching in her notebook, filling the pages with portraits and doodles. She loved her family, especially her younger brother, Sam, who was only 16 when she disappeared. Her best friend, Lisa, once said, Hannah wasn't loud. She wasn't flashy, but she was warm. You felt safe with her. But in June of 2014, that sense of safety shattered. Millwood wasn't the kind of place where people went missing. Crime was rare. The last homicide on record had been in the 1980s, and that was a bar fight gone wrong. The police force was small, just 12 officers, most of them locals. The kind of cops who coached Little League and knew every kid by name. That's what made Hannah's disappearance all the more shocking. The town that had always felt safe suddenly didn't. It was a Thursday. Summer was settling in. At 5 o'clock p.m., Hannah finished her shift at the local grocery store. Surveillance footage shows her leaving, smiling, her hair tied back, a sketchbook tucked under her arm. At 6:15 p.m., she texted her best friend Lisa, going for a walk. Need to clear my head. I'll call you later. She never called. At 8 p.m., when Hannah's parents realized she hadn't come home, they assumed she was still with friends. By midnight, panic set in. At 1 a.m., her father dialed 911. The next morning, Millwood mobilized. Volunteers, hundreds of them, fanned out across fields, creeks, and wooded trails. Her photograph plastered storefront windows, flyers stapled to telephone poles. Police combed her phone records, interviewed friends, and retraced her last steps. But Hannah was gone. Days passed. Hope faded. And then on June 18th, a farmer made a discovery that would change everything. On the edge of his property, near a line of oak trees, the farmer noticed freshly turned earth. When police dug, they found a shallow grave. Inside was Hannah Green. Her body showed signs of blunt force trauma. She had been killed, then hastily buried. The entire town mourned. Vigils were held. Candles lit. But grief turned quickly to fear. Because if Hannah could be killed in Millwood, then no one was safe. And somewhere out there, the killer was walking free. The first suspect was Hannah's ex-boyfriend, Derek Collins. They had dated for nearly 2 years, but broke up a few months before her death. Friends said the breakup was messy. Derek wanted her back. Hannah had moved on. Police questioned him relentlessly. Did he follow her that night? Did anger boil over? For weeks, the town was convinced Derek was guilty, but his alibi held. He was working a double shift at the factory, clocked in and surrounded by co-workers. The case swung back to zero. Then came the second theory, a stranger passing through town. A truck driver reported seeing a man walking along the highway near Millwood the night Hannah disappeared. He described him as tall, scruffy, carrying a duffel bag. The town seized on it. It must have been him. Police circulated composite sketches, checked motels, stopped cars on the interstate. But no such man was ever found. Another dead end. As the investigation dragged on, Millwood changed. Parents wouldn't let children play outside. Women refused to walk alone. Neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. For the first time, Millwood didn't feel like home. And for Hannah's family, the unanswered questions were unbearable. Who had killed their daughter? Why? And why couldn't anyone find the truth? Months turned into years. The case grew cold. But in 2019, a breakthrough came not from Millwood police, but from the state crime lab. DNA under Hannah's fingernails was finally matched. To Daniel Rowe, Rowe was 37, a construction worker, a family man, a church volunteer. To everyone in Millwood, he was ordinary. But quietly, he had a violent past arrests for assault in another county, sealed records that never made it into Millwood's small police files. He lived less than a mile from Hannah. He often saw her walking past his house. And on June 12, 2014, he saw her again. When police searched Rowe's home, they found chilling evidence. In the basement, a hidden compartment. Inside, Hannah's sketchbook, her missing earrings, a blood-stained hammer. The items had been sitting there for 5 years, buried in plain sight. It was the basement that changed everything. Rowe was arrested and charged with Hannah's murder. In court, prosecutors detailed how he lured her near his property, attacked her, and buried her body on farmland he had access to through work. His calm demeanor unnerved the jury. After a 6-week trial, Daniel Rowe was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. Hannah Green was 23. She loved drawing, laughter, and the trails outside her small town. Her death silenced Millwood, but her story reminds us that evil can hide in plain sight. A neighbor, a volunteer, a man you'd wave to on the street. And even though justice was served, the wounds in Millwood never fully healed. Because the question lingers in every small town. How well do you really know the people living next door? A town silenced, a body hidden. And though her killer is behind bars, the silence he left behind still echoes. This is Crime Scene Chronicles. We tell these stories to remember the victims, to keep their names alive, and to remind you the darkest secrets often live in the quietest places. If Hannah's story moved you, help us continue. Like this video, share it with others, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to Crime Scene Chronicles for more haunting true crime stories.